Welcome to another edition of a Brobdingnagian Minute. How long is a Brobdingnagian Minute? Well, it's about as long as winter lasts after the groundhog sees his shadow. Because, hey, guess what, woodchuck chuckers? It's cold outside because coming up soon is Groundhog Day.
Groundhog! Good job. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming. We're not quite there. We got about a week and a half or so.
I mean, technically, we could release this on February 1st, 2nd, or 2nd,
Second.
Well, yeah, I know it's on 2nd, but I was just thinking, I think we usually release them on, I think we usually release them on like Wednesdays. And if we release it on Wednesday, it'd be ready for Groundhog. Maybe.
I knew it was coming up, so I thought I'd get away with it. But yeah. It's, and Groundhog Day, it's so counterintuitive, right? Because if a groundhog sees his shadow, we get more winter. That means it's sunny outside. So we get more winter? I would think it would be like, cloudy, so you wouldn't see the shadow, and it's like, oh, it's still cloudy, so we're going to get more winter. But no, it's actually the reverse.
So it's interesting that we bring up groundhog because today we're going to talk about our song, "Do Groundhogs Taste Better?"
Yes. For our roadkill edition of our music.
Roadkill. I just got hit by that idea. I was like, okay, well, we were going to talk about. I thought we'd talk about "Do Virgins Taste Better," but since we have groundhogs here,
wow.
How do you like your groundhog cooked, Andrew?
I don't like it cooked at all because I respect PETA. No. Yeah. Truth be told, I'm a Texan, so there's got to be barbecue sauce. I mean, it doesn't matter, if it's groundhog or squirrel or it's got to have barbecue sauce.
So, are you all ready for Groundhog Day? You got the movie out?
Yeah. We should intro this because Mark and I started this. I don't know if you may have heard this tradition a little before, but back in college we started this tradition where we would watch Groundhog Day, the movie, on, wait for it, Groundhog Day.
Whoa!
I know, very original.
Crazy.
Because let's be honest, Groundhog Day is not a holiday. It's technically an observance.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it's not it's not a federal holiday.
You've thought long and hard about this, apparently.
Oh, I have, because it's Groundhog Day. How could you? I mean, there's okay. Seriously, back when we were kids in the in the 80s, there was nothing else because you go after New Year's and there was nothing. This was before MLK Day started to become a thing. There was nothing. And then you had Groundhog Day, and finally you had Valentine's Day and President's Day. But it really, you did. Groundhog Day was the first thing. That was what the news had to work with in a slow news cycle. That was it. So it was almost considered a joke. I mean, it was considered a joke in the 80s. That was one of those things where, okay, and once again we're going to talk about the groundhog because there's not a war going on, nothing else to talk about. It's cold, everybody's staying inside, so here we go. And that was all. It was, and then we had MLK Day came along in the mid 80s. And it almost signaled the end of Groundhog Day. They were finally like, we've got something else to talk about. We don't have to talk about Groundhog Day anymore. It was going the way of the dodo bird. And then this movie was released.
And the world was changed forevermore.
Yeah, I looked it up. Do you know?
And the world was changed forevermore.
Right.
And the world was changed forevermore. And the world was changed.
Before the movie came out, in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, the big location where the groundhog celebration is. There are a few other places, but that's the main one. Did get about 2,000 people out at Gobbler's Knob to celebrate Groundhog Day. That's about it. After the movie came out, they started getting 10,000 people out there.
Wow.
And then and nowadays, it's more like tens of thousands of people.
Wow.
So that's how much of a difference this movie made for Groundhog Day. I honestly think that because they had, MLK Day and then Black History Month and all of this stuff going on, I think Groundhog Day would have gone away. I think it would have just really been fairly erased in society, except for this movie. So this is an important movie. We need to talk about this movie.
It would have been, and it would have been tragic to the groundhog menus that will be made throughout the year.
I'm sorry, but I mean, really, I really think Bill Murray earlier in the movie when he talks about worshiping a rat is not that far off.
Right.
I mean, it's really a stupid holiday. I mean, it's all based on essentially a wives' tale of just the whole, I mean, how to predict the weather based on hibernating mammals. I mean, that's really, I mean, originally started with bears apparently in Europe,
wow.
But all the bears died out, so they started branching out and going with other mammals that hibernate. So yeah, I mean, it all got started in the 1800s by a newspaper guy in Pennsylvania as a sort of a way to an excuse to throw a party. And as we all know, especially from our college days, everybody strives for excuses to throw parties.
Oh, that's true.
So yeah, that's kind of what happened. And I mean, you got together local businesses and and one of the local lodge, and they all got together and started making this a big deal. I mean that's how Mardi Gras started. So I mean, this is how you do it.
That's how you do it. So if you want to make your own holiday,
get with businesses, get with some organization that's going to last hundreds of years, and you've got it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now you know. We've answered that question for all of you out there.
Yeah, Groundhog Day. So, but yeah, we watched that movie. I mean, we started. I still watch it every February 2nd.
I try to. It is difficult
with kids. That can be rough, but
the family stuff. I finally came to the decision that I cannot follow all of the. I must watch this movie traditions that I had when I was single. We're very up now.
I understand. Well, that's okay. I mean, just like most married people, you can live vicariously through your single friends.
True enough. True enough. Hey, if we would like to know next time what song you would like to hear on this podcast, if you want to email us, thebards@thebards.net. We're going to talk about Divergence in just a minute, but I want to, we're going to talk about shows first, because we have a couple upcoming shows. April 1st and 2nd and 8th and 9th of April. We're going to be at Sherwood Forest Fair in Central Texas. We haven't heard anything about the Bards reunion show that usually happens there, but
not officially. But I mean, it's generally the weekends that you are at Sherwood, and since I'm there the full run,
let's just say it's going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's been part of the whole deal that the entertainment director is presented to us.
Yeah, so, exactly.
I'll be shocked if we don't at least have something.
Yeah,
in the past, we've done both Saturday and Sunday, both weekends. So we haven't really talked about it. Is that something you want to do this year, or do you just want to do one day? Okay. Both days?
I'm good with that. I've been enjoying the shows. Okay. So yeah, usually I think like the first weekend always goes really well, but the second weekend seems like the attendance starts dropping off. So whatever,
What I've discovered is the reason I like it doing it both days and both weekends is because weather. I mean, and changes and there's fluctuations. I mean, one of the things you always look at when you work a Ren Fair is one day doesn't matter. Yeah. It's the average of the whole run because
exactly.
You get those rain days and you get those cold days and you get those just off days where people have a weird attitude and you can't figure out why. It just happens. And so, yeah, I mean, I hated to, in the past, what we used to do is we'd put it all in one basket. I mean, we'd have that one day, one show, winner take all. And it's a little dangerous. I mean, you almost want to take out insurance on the show because if it's bad weather or whatever, or somebody gets hoarse or laryngitis or break all of your strings in the first song. I mean, you never know. It's one of those things. So I really like having they're like backup shows just in case.
Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely excited to be back at Sherwood, and again, playing with you as well as doing my solo shows.
Sure.
And so it's gonna be a lot of fun, and that'll give us plenty of time to do all of this stuffs. April 6th, we're also doing an internet concert as part of the Dragon Con Filk Music Track. So that's gonna be happening, I'm gonna guess 7 p.m. Central.
Sounds right.
So mark your calendars for that. That's Thursday, April 6th. I don't know about you, but I am planning to be at Gen Con, even though we haven't, gotten official invites. So we'll see how that.
I'm planning on it too. So
okay, yeah, I haven't set up my shows yet. Really need to get on that. And
I have been working on it. I haven't officially set them up yet. We've still got some time, but it's, you can run out of time quick if you're not careful. So what I've been doing is just asking around and researching and talking with my friends and sellers, and just to kind of make sure I get the right shows and the right descriptions, the right times, and see if anybody has any feedback or anything on what they've done. Because, I had some really good shows last year, but there was one show that just bombed, and I want that to. I'm definitely want to fix that.
I'm hoping I took enough notes to remind me what I wanted to do.
I took a lot of notes, but luckily that's why I have people helping me at the table and at the shows selling CDs, because they're like my quality control. They come in and say, "Oh, by the way, don't do that again." I'm like, really? Like, oh yeah, that did not work. And I'm like, okay, good to know. Because you got to get that. You got to get that sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, as much as you think we're perfect, surprisingly, every once in a while, we're not. God, I really meant that to sound more confident. Oh, well.
All right, some other upcoming shows. I have some shows that are coming. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening in the Atlanta area that I have lined up. So you can find that on my website, markgunn.com. But February 9th, I'm doing a Cat Drinking Songs concert on Bandcamp. March 15th, I'm doing a St. Patrick's Day internet concert. Both of those will be on Bandcamp, and you can get tickets over there. Of course, I'll be at Sherwood Forest Fair and for those 2 weekends. And June 3rd through 10th, I'm going to be on my Celtic Invasion of County Mayo, Ireland. I finally put up my itinerary for the invasion.
Is it too late for people to get on that?
No, that's the reason I'm mentioning it, is that I have a couple spots that are still available. So it's a very small group. I'm expecting probably 10 people tops.
Wow, that makes it a lot easier, actually.
Yeah, well, I only have 2 slots, 2 or 3 slots currently available. I forget which.
Well, I mean, just for touring, that makes it a lot easier.
It does.
You don't need a huge bus. You can go in some places that large groups it would not. Yeah,
last year we had 23, 24 people on the trip, and trying to book things was very difficult. We had to break up into 2 different groups for the most part, and do stuff separately. And so it was definitely a challenge, but it was a lot of fun, but it was a challenge.
And the Cat Drinking Songs and the St. Patrick's Day one, those are both internet shows.
Yes, they are.
Said. Okay.
Yeah.
So St. Patrick's Day internet concert on March 15th?
March 15th.
I'm not doing St. Patrick's Day.
No. You don't do St. Patrick's Day internet concerts on St. Patrick's Day when you're a Celtic musician. You have to do them before the St. Patrick's Day in order to be able to pull it off.
Right. Okay, that's fair.
Because hopefully you're booked, and right now I am not, but I'm considering it. I'm still debating whether I'm going to be booked on my birthday or not.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we actually had somebody message us who was interested in booking us in Austin for a show, both of us together.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
I messaged him about it. I don't know if you did, but
I think I sent him a message and said, "Talk to you." So, because I can't do it.
That's what I told him. I said, hey, we can talk about another setup. But yeah, Mark, he's usually booked on that, and he's in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But if you throw him enough money, you never know.
Exactly. And now
we're musicians. We have a price.
Now you have you don't have any shows lined up outside.
Well, Sherwood. I mean, I'm doing 8 straight weekends of Sherwood.
I was talking about your Fair's Life show. That's the
Fair Life.
That's coming back, right?
Yeah, that's going to be starting on the 30th of January, and then every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central. Try to do about 30 minutes of that, 7 to 7:30 or so. But sometimes it gets away from me. if it's if we're having a good time, it's a good topic, I'll take it a little longer. But it's just Mondays, and it's just musings about what happens at Ren Fair and what things, fair news, things that I'm thinking about that I find interesting that other people tend to find interesting too.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's a bard's life.
Awesome. Is that your tagline that you use it?
No, but I might use it from now on.
Right. To bard's life. I think that'd be fun. It'd be I like that. All right. So today we're going to talk about Do Virgins Taste Better Medley.
Okay.
Because that's a thing. And and we've talked about it before over on when we did our show about Marked by Great Size, but it's been a while, and I thought why not? This gives people specifically, if they want to go find out about this song, which is, I think it's our top song on Spotify.
Oh, is it?
So
okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
If not one of them, it's
wow.
Actually,
interesting.
You know what?
Who knew?
Actually, come to think of it, that it is not. I think our top song is Beer, 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 but Do Virgins Taste Better is like number 2.
Beer more popular than virgins. I think that should be our topic.
Okay. There you go. Well, there you go. We're going to talk about beer being... Doesn't Axel Lasat have a song about that?
Right. Beer is better than women, I think.
Oh, that's what it is. And not necessarily specifically virgins. It's
right. But yeah. No. Yeah. Do Virgins Taste Better? I'll start off by just saying that I first heard this song because of my sister. She hates it when I tell the story, but yeah, she's the one that introduced me to Ren Fair and also to Renaissance Fair music, which, believe it or not, is a subgenre. And yeah, she went to Ren Fairs a lot and then started dragging me, and that's how I became interested. And she just kept buying tapes of all of these different musicians at fair and saying, "Hey, listen to this, listen to this." So that's how I first heard Do Virgins Taste Better, and there were a group of songs that I just was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" And I would write down or print out the words to the lyrics, and I kept in a file folder, and a lot of the songs from that file folder became the songs that Mark and I, some of them that we started with.
Yeah.
We all said, "Okay, what do we have song-wise? What can we do?" And I broke out that folder, and this was in there. So that's kind of how the original came into being as far as that goes. For us and the interest, and Mark came across the Dragon's Retort, right?
Yeah, did I? I don't. I
didn't. I know you're the one that introduced that to me, so I know it wasn't me.
I do remember that. So first off, the Do Virgins Taste Better is based on the Irish washerwoman instrumental, reel. Or is that jig? Sorry, it's a jig. The Irish washerwoman jig, and it was. It has this great rhythm and such. Turns out the words I think I was probably trying to figure out who wrote the song because Andrew had the music and that we had based it on. But then, of course, where does the song come from? And if you're trying to pay royalties to have something on an album, you want to know where it came from. So it took a while, but I found it was written by Randy Farron, who was a filker in Texas and still is. Last I knew, he was living in Dallas. And he was just out on the circuit. He wrote the lyrics to it, and he was really cool too. He was like, you don't have to pay royalties. Just tell where it came from and whatnot. We finally met him. I don't remember 2006 or something like that. Yeah. I feel like it was at FinCon or something like that. Yeah. We met him there, and it was like, wow, what a trip. But
and I think you came across Dragon's Retort when you were doing research with that. Who the origins of that, who wrote it. I didn't know.
If that's the case, then that would make perfect sense, because I was looking around and came across some lyrics, and Claire Stevens was that author of The Dragon's Retort, which of course we combined on A Fair to Remember. We had them separately on Marked by Great Size, but on A Fair to Remember, we medleyed them together, which is how we were already performing them, but didn't know how to record that performance.
Well, initially Dragon's Retort came a little later because we first started playing Do Virgins Taste Better alone. That was what we had, and then you brought in Dragon's Retort. I mean, it was soon after, but we'd already started playing because we were playing Do Virgins Taste Better out at Excalibur, the first fair we ever played at.
Huh. Okay.
So So that was before Dragon's Retort. Now it came out really soon, I don't even know if it was like a few weeks after or something like that, but it was soon after we where you just said, "Hey, check this out," and so it became like a secondary song at first. I remember this that we weren't quite sure. It's like it kind of became the bastard stepchild, song that what do we do with? We weren't quite sure because it worked. It was tough to say this is a standalone song,
right?
And that's where that whole back and forth kind of came in that I thought was that you came up with. I remember this. That was, I thought, really smart.
Yeah. And so we started now there were more lyrics than the ones that I sing. I don't think we have them on our website. I would have to look at that. But I know there were quite a few more lyrics than.
But we didn't want a long-winded dragon. People like to avoid that. That's
there we go. We do have it on our website. So I came to this village. Now I'm a dragon. Yes, Virgins. Now we worms are deep thinkers. At science we shine, but our world's complicated with every new line. We must quit all the things we've done since the flood, like lying on gold couches poisons our blood. As happened. I think
that's just one big tongue twister right there.
Yeah, so that was the one verse I guess that we left off. I think.
I think we wanted to make it about the same size as the other one to kind of
to balance it out. Yeah, exactly. And I was very happy with that change too.
I think so. You would have been the one singing it, so I bet you were
obviously there.
I would have. Yeah, I would have been the same in your vote. Yeah,
but it definitely was a favorite because I do remember. Obviously, since it's one of our top songs, it's the one that attracts a lot of people because it is a funny song, and and it answers that age-old question. Do virgins taste better than those or not?
Essentially, why do dragons prefer virgins? What's different about them from just eating any old person? Yeah. So, that was the joke, and But the truth is, it works so well as a song because it's not just a joke; it's actually a really good point.
Right.
I mean, where did that come? I mean, it's like me asking earlier about the groundhog. I mean, why a groundhog? What makes a groundhog special about seeing a shadow? And that's kind of it's that whole sort of joke question. But the fact that it's virgins makes it a little more naughty and, of course, funny.
Yes, exactly. And people who, as we've learned, people who don't, it is in the great semi-subtle art that you find at some Renaissance festivals when you can make some dirty jokes and kids don't necessarily get them because, as we found out, because a lot of kids would sing this at schools and their parents would say, "Yeah, we got a call from the school again."
I loved it when that happened. The principal would call them and say, "Your daughter was singing this song. Do virgins taste better than those who are not?" And of course, the parents going chuckling, trying to keep from laughing hysterically,
and also thinking my child has no clue what a virgin is.
Right.
So I mean, there is that.
Yes. I call it the subtle art of ribaldry.
Exactly.
Words the kids don't understand.
But now I'm over. I'm 50, turning 51. And as you had pointed out several years ago, it's not a song that we sing nearly as much as we did when we were younger.
True.
Because
you have kids now and you're worried.
That too.
Gonna get that call from school.
But more importantly, it's kind of creepy.
Well, yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
When you're in your 20s, you think differently, and you're.
Well, I discovered that we had a really cool dynamic I mean, we have a really cool dynamic, but it's just, the back and forth, two guys joking around, football, Virgins, and you can get away with it a little more. But
football, really? Seriously, you just said football?
I'm just kidding, okay? European football, does that make you feel better? But no, I just, I discovered as a solo artist, if I tried to do this song alone, I come across as a really creepy guy singing about virgins, where if you have a duo, you can kind of get away with it. It's a weird dynamic, but it's true.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think the older we get as well, it does start to, I don't know. I think that we kind of hit a zone where it's a little creepy, but I think another 10, 15 years we'll kind of hit another node where we're like, oh, now they're just old guys who are harmless singing about whatever.
Maybe.
So I think we can get there again, but I think you're right. Yeah, it's a little creepy. It's just, and it's an interesting point because I think, post Me Too and all of that kind of thing. I mean, there are songs that don't really hold up as well as they used to.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a different connotation now than they did.
Right.
I've been very conscious of that. I've tried that. There are a few songs I just don't do anymore.
Yeah. Do you remember, what was it? Leggedy-um, leggedy-um, leggedy-um. Oh my God. You're right.
Yeah.
What's that song called?
Oh gosh, what is it called?
I don't remember. I don't know. But that is actually a creeper song.
Right.
When I was younger, I mean, that even worse than this one. This one, I feel like it's not actually a creeper song, but it can seem kind of creepy if you get an age. That one was just creepy back then, but I didn't recognize it.
Right. Well, I mean, back then you could make the joke about the older guy taking the young girl back to his place to look at his etchings.
Right.
And it was like a common joke that you could make and get away with and just say, oh, yeah, that's just a known sort of a joke trope kind of thing that you can say. And it was okay. But, that doesn't work anymore.
No, you have to. I mean, comedy is an interesting thing, I feel like, and as many comedians are learning that some things age well, some things don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to adjust with your times, and there's nothing wrong with that. Are some of the older jokes still now invalid? And some of them, yes. Some of them, maybe not so much.
Well, humor can often be very topical. Yeah. And if it's different times, different topics, I mean, it just doesn't work. I mean, whether you're just making fun of the politician from 1890 that nobody's like, who the hell is that? I don't know who that is anymore. Right. In an old song, and it doesn't make sense anymore. To saying something that would be socially acceptable at one time, but not another.
I think that's actually a really good comparison right there, where you mentioned the politician that's no longer relevant to anything. It's sort of like it's very much in what you've talked about with different types of filk. What's the phrase? I always forget the name.
I always say dependent versus independent filk.
Right.
Dependent, independent. Where dependent, you have to know the reference to get the joke, and independent, you're still going to laugh whether you get the reference or not. Right.
So in some songs are dependent on not being a creeper. Times have changed where a socially some social issue from 50 or 100 years ago might have been fine saying, whereas now it's not. And that's okay. It's not anything wrong. It's just that times have changed, and it is now dependent on that time period, or to be comedic and funny, or versus things that are contemporary and relevant. So I like how you bring up that in particular, because it definitely, it seems just very appropriate to the people who are like, well, all of a sudden I can't say. So I have a relative who uses a racist phrase, and it's a very racist phrase, but he thinks of it as funny, super funny from his childhood, something from his childhood that he thought was just hilarious. And he told me this phrase, and for a period of time, I thought it was funny. And now I look at it, I'm like, God, I cringe, and have, for the longest time now where I cringe because I'm like, ooh, it's not funny at all. It's
like a weird form of nostalgia, I think, where it's not actually funny, but you have the memory of the comedy from when from 50 years ago or whatever, and that's what you're identifying with.
Right. That's a great thought too. You're attached to the memory.
Yeah.
And
I mean, as musicians, we're all about nostalgia and creating that sense of connection, and that carries it through decades later. And I mean, that's what life is all about: creating connections and identifying with things and that have meaning to you. And so, I mean, it's tough because, and that's one of the reasons people are so resistant to change on that level, because it's important to them, even if it's wrong to a lot of other people. Yeah.
And I think the Virgins Taste Better and the Dragons Retort are that same sort of thing, is that it's a hilarious idea. It is an absolutely hilarious idea. And I think even just reading it and reading the lyrics and going through it, I think it's brilliant.
It walks a fine line that works well, because you can take it literally.
Right.
I mean, you can take it literally and just say, that's a good point. Why do dragons prefer virgins? That really makes no sense. And he's just listing off the reasons, like, oh, he wants this and the dragons want that. And I mean, why would you want that? That makes no sense. But if you don't take it literally and you look at it as for the veiled meaning of virgins, that kind of thing.
Then all of a sudden it becomes creepy.
Sort of. I mean, it can be creepy, we always tried to stay away from the creepy aspect and make it more flirtatious, goofy. That was always the approach I took. I tried not to take it as a like that. I tried to not Beavis and Butthead it up. I tried to do more of a just a goofy, flirtatious approach, a little here and there. But it is a fine line, but I think this song does better than most, definitely, at walking that line well. But yeah, I mean, I think part of it is how you sing it, like any song, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you could sing it very literally and approach it and get away with it a lot easier. I mean, it depends on the audience.
I guess that's one of the reasons why I also think about why I don't prefer to perform the song as much, because quite honestly, we take it to that next level. Sometimes
we have that habit of trying to outdo ourselves,
right?
So
and to make it funnier, and sometimes there is a comedic aspect to that. So
I've backed away from some of my more risque comments. I'm sure you've noticed over the years. Like I kind of got the height of oh my God, he did not just say that. I hit that a few times, and it worked back in the day, but now I don't think I would do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to play the song for you. Before we go, we want to let you know, thank you to our Nagians, who are the people who make this podcast happen. The reason why I keep saying, Andrew, we need to record a podcast, because of you and your generosity supporting us over on Patreon. We're a little bit behind on our working on the next album that we're going to put together, but we're getting back to that very soon. So stay tuned for that. We'll let you know, hopefully in the next podcast, give you an update, maybe even have some new music. What do you think? Maybe could we pull that off, Andrew?
Yeah, I think we can.
All right. We're going to finish up with Do Virgins Taste Better, and you have a wonderful month, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Sláinte.
Dragon has come to our village today. We've asked him to leave, but he won't go away. Now he's met with our king and they've worked out a deal. No homes will he burn and no crops will he steal. Now there is but one catch, we dislike it a bunch. Twice a year he invites him a virgin to lunch. Now we've no other choice, so the deal we'll respect. We can't help but wonder and pause to reflect.
Dragons.
And virgins.
Oh, right, and virgins. Yeah.
Dragons. Virgins. The physics alone just boggles the mind.
Huh?
Oh, just kidding. Do virgins taste better than those who are not? Are they saltier, sweeter, more juicy, or what? Do you savor them slowly, gulp them down on the spot? Do virgins taste better than those who are not? Now I'd like to be shed you, and many have tried, but no one can get through your thick, scaly hide. We hope that someday some brave knight will come by, 'cause I can't wait around till you're too fat to fly. Now you have such good taste in your women for sure. They always are pretty, they always are pure. But your notion of dining, it makes us all flinch. Your favorite entree is barbecued wench.
Mine too.
Do virgins taste better than those who are not? Are they saltier, sweeter, more juicy, or what? Do you savor them slowly, gulp them down on the spot? Do virgins taste better than those who are not? I found a solution, it works out so neat. You insist on nothing but virgins to eat. No more will our number ever grow small. We'll simply make sure there's no virgins at all. Do virgins taste better than those who are not? Are they saltier, sweeter, more juicy, or what? Do you savor them slowly, gulp them down on the spot? Do virgins taste better than those who are not?
Dragon, please listen to me, for I'm misunderstood to a dreadful degree. The psychology needs me and I know me place, but I'm fighting extinction with all of me race. Well, I came to this village to better me health, which is ever so poor despite all me wealth. But I get no assistance and no sympathy. Should have pertinent questioning shouted at me. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not, but me favorite snack into perilous fraught. Me teeth will decay and me trim good a pot. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not. Almost all of the year, vegetarian ways are now mine out of fear. But a birthday means sweets, I'm sure you'll agree, and barbecued wench tastes like candy to me. As it happens, our interests are almost the same. You see, I'm really quite skillful at managing game. If I ate just your men, would your exes decline? Of course not, the rest will just make better time. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not, but me favorite snack is with perilous fuck. Me teeth will decay and me trim good a pot. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not. The number of babies a woman can bear has limits, and that's why pruning's done there. And an orphan's a sad sight, and so when I munch, I'm careful to eat only virgins for lunch. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not, but me favorite snack is the perilous front. The teeth will decay and me trim good a pot. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not. My favorite snack is more juicy or what? You savor them slowly, gulp them down on the pot. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not. My favorite snack is more juicy or what? You savor them slowly, gulp them down on the pot. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not. My favorite snack is more juicy or what? My favorite snack is more down on the pot. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not. Yes, virgins taste better than those who are not. My favorite snack more juicy or what? My favorite snack is more down on the pot. Virgins taste better than those who are not. The Brobdingnagian Bards podcast was produced by Mark Gunn and Andrew McKee. Sign up to our mailing list to download free MP3s and get monthly updates of what's new. Find it all at thebards.net.
.net.
That was awesome.
Thanks.